What's going on, guys? Balmy Teacher in the house, and I'm here with the NPLA Week 7 Team Builder. Your Royal Bomber for Bombies are taking on the Washington type Nulls and Coach Your Topic in a very challenging but epic Week 7 match. We're actually playing in about half an hour from the time I'm recording this. You'll probably notice on screen that my channel mascot is there instead of my face. I've been having issues with my webcam. For some reason it won't load up. I have been trying to fix it all day, but I haven't been able to fix it. So unfortunately you're going to have to do without my face for this and the battle. I do apologise for that. Hopefully I'll have it fixed by my GPL match with Agoshi, which is happening tomorrow. But yeah, so Your Topic is currently unbeaten. He's 6-0. We're 3-3 after taking a forfeit win last week. If you're not sure why I got a forfeit win last week, check out my last NPLA video. I did an update video just to fill you guys in on a few things, including that transfers and another issue. If you haven't watched that, I suggest you go check it out. But anyhow, back to this team. This team is really scary. Really scary. It's very difficult to know which 6 he's going to bring. The 6 on the top is the 6 I think he will bring. But yeah, I'm not sure. Mega Aggron, of course, insanely physically bulky with 230 base defense and a very solid 140 base attack stat when it Mega Evolves, coupled with that filter ability making super effective hits basically do neutral damage. It's a really bulky Pokemon. He also has the most kills with it on his team. I believe it has 7 kills, which is the most kills of any Pokemon in this draft period, which is insane to me. Gets a huge amount of coverage moves, gets a lot of tech moves, and Your Topic likes to bring a lot of tech on Mega Aggron, so I won't be surprised to see more tech. But yeah, it doesn't have the best special defense though, and it is quite slow, so it can be punished. It doesn't really like entry hazards all that much either, so hopefully we can find a way to make that work. Next up is Infernape, a mon very familiar to me, of course. I've got it in my GPL Season 1 team. Really good mon, really versatile, 104 base attack and special attack, and 108 base speed. Pretty frail though, does get set up on both sides, however, does get priority on both sides, however. It can be difficult to predict what he's going to bring, so Infernape's something I need to be careful around. Does also get rocks and things like taunts, so it can definitely be a little tricky. But I think I've got decent enough answers to it on my team. Next up is Nihilego. Nihilego is a really annoying Pokemon, particularly if it's in the hands of Shadow IX in the GPL. Really good Pokemon. Decent typing, really good special offense. Can be a little slow, but it is 109 speed, so it isn't bad at all. Definitely a problem. I'm not entirely sure if he brings it because I have Mamoswine. Mamoswine is generally a very solid answer to Nihilego because Mamoswine hits it hard on that physical hull side where Nihilego is very frail. But is one I definitely need to watch out. He could Scarf it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him Scarf it to outspeed my Tapu Koko. Although I did bring Scarf Koko before, so he might predict me to bring that. But yeah, I think those 3 Pokemon, the first one there, super good offensive setup if he chooses to run offensive Mega Aggron, which I wouldn't be surprised to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. It's pretty scary, pretty hard to deal with. Next up is his Spinner, Mega Blastoise. Really solid Spinner. Does lack recovery, however, which is kind of unfortunate for it. But it is pretty bulky. Does get Rapid Spin. Doesn't get the biggest damage output, however, because it's not Mega. It doesn't have that Mega Launcher ability. Got some okay coverage options to hit my team, but is kind of a little bit weak to Tapu Koko, however, alongside things like Kartana, which can really murder Blastoise. Next up is Shaymin. Shaymin, very versatile Pokemon, base 100 stats across the board, like most of the Pixies. Really decent across the board. I do have a couple of poison types which can abuse it, but they both have to be careful of Earth Power. I do also have Chandelure, which can take it on 1v1, depending on what stat. But yeah, I really like Shaymin. Gotta be careful of Earth Power, that's one thing. Does have its signature Seed Flare. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Subtoxic set with Leech Seed. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that against my team. My team doesn't have the best ways of dealing with that. But yeah, I think I've got enough answers for it that I can take it on. But we'll have to see. Latias is an interesting Pokemon, pretty fast, decent special attack and decent bulk. Can be lots of things, can be a Calm Mind Sweeper, can be a Healing Wish support, which I believe is what it used in the last game. Definitely got a lot of things to do. I expect a more bulky set. I don't have the best ways to take out bulky psychics except Tapu Koko, so we will see how that goes. But yeah, I do like Latias. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought it, but I expect a more like supportive set. He could run Healing Wish into that Mega Aggron, which is a fairly obvious strategy because Aggron doesn't have recovery on its own either. His wildcard pick for me is Galvantula. Galvantula, of course, another mod I'm familiar with for GPL Season 1. Pretty quick at 110 base speed, gets sticky webs, of course, gets decent coverage and things like Giga Drain. Otherwise, it's typically a pivot. Doesn't have the best offensive stats other than its speed, so it can be a little bit tricky, but I wouldn't be surprised if he brought it just to pivot around a little bit, because otherwise his only real other pivot is things like Healing Wish on Shaman Latias or U-turning off of Infernape. Next up is Togekiss. Togekiss is a pretty annoying mon, of course, particularly if you Choice Scarf it with that Serene Grace Air Slash at 60% flinch odds. It does get some coverage moves in Aura Sphere, Flamethrower, things like that. Does fall foul to my team, however. Togekiss doesn't have the best matchup, as all of Tapu Koko, Diancie, Garbodor, Skuntyke, and Mamoswine can beat it. So I don't think Togekiss comes this week, but I won't be surprised to see it if he tries to bring it. Gligar. Gligar's a cool Pokemon, actually. Hey, obviously it can take advantage of a Violite, but it doesn't necessarily need a Violite to be good. It doesn't really do that well against my team, though. It doesn't really touch Slowking, and it doesn't really touch Mamoswine, so that's something to bear in mind. It does get knockoff and things like that, though. Could be SD, could be Defog, things like that. Does get rocks. So, interesting Pokemon, but I don't think it comes. I have too many answers for it. And that's kind of the same problem with Passimian. I like Passimian as a Pokemon. I persuaded Huddle to draft it in the GPL before he dropped down. Typically relies on Choice Scarf though, not particularly fast. Does have the Defiant ability, of course, which could be annoying for Defog. Does get things like Knockoff and Earthquake alongside that close combat. Does also get U-turn. Pretty solid mon in general. Not sure it comes against me though. It doesn't really take on Mega Gallade or Tapu Koko very well, and it does absolutely nothing to Slowking. So, risky bring for him, but I won't be surprised to see it. And last but by no means least is Linoon, pretty much known for one set, which is Belly Drum E-Speed. Particularly, of course, taking advantage of that Gluttony ability. Does get Stomping Tantrum, of course, to hit things like Chandelure, but otherwise doesn't really hit very hard. I don't think it comes against me, mostly because of Chandelure. But if it does come, I do have fighting types on my team. I do have things like Kartana that can take it on. So I think it's too much of a risk for him to bring it. Most of my offensive threats absolutely destroy it, so we'll see. Alright, so let's get on to my team, shall we? You can see, he probably guessed from the stats of the first mon on my team, which is going to be Mohawk the Tapu Koko. Of course, not running Shiny to disguise the timid nature, although we are timid anyway. Running Ferium Z this week. This is mostly to take out the Latias. I don't have the best answers for it, particularly if it's bulky. But Ferium Z Dazzling Gleam does an absolute number on this thing. Really, really strong. Volt Switch, of course, to pivot out. HP Ice just to catch things like the Shaman. Also hits Nihilego relatively quick. Nick does, of course, hit the Gligar, which may want to switch in if it comes. And Defog, of course, to get rid of any rocks. He doesn't have the best hazard setup, but obviously he does have rocks on things like Aggron, Nihilego, and Ape. But other than that, it's mostly like Leech Seed, and the occasional Toxic Spike, and obviously Webs Galvantula, so not really a lot. But I need Defog just in case he tries to stack on me. I don't see him trying it, but I won't be surprised given that my team may be a little weak to rocks at times, depending on what I bring. Alright, next up, making the debut this time is Sia the Chandelure. Chandelure running Subcom Mind. I like this set quite a bit. Running Flame Body in case of a physical mon getting burned. I'd love to get a burn on that Aggron, for example. Things like that. Subcom Mind, pretty easy setup. I can set up on the Latias if I get it. Flamethrower is obviously general stab, and Shadow Ball hits things like the Latias. It's pretty good against this team. Shadow Ball hits literally everything except Linoon. So, pretty decent set at all. If I can get this thing set up, I can potentially win the game. It's a little slow though, which does kind of suck, but that's fine. Hopefully I can get it set up on something. I am going to need some Calm Minds to break through that Aggron. I do need to be careful, of course, of Earthquake, which could be a bind, but hopefully I can get it set up and win. Next up is going to be Tusker the Mamoswine, running a pretty standard set this week, except I'm not running Ice Skull Crash again. I actually didn't run Icicle Crash in my team against Chelsea, but that match didn't get going, so I didn't see it. He's my dedicated rocker this week. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Shot, Knockoff. Knockoff just to get rid of items. I don't really want to see too many items on his team. If I can knock off that Nihiligo Scarf, that would be really good. Or knock off things like the Shaman's Leftovers or anything like that. If I can get rid of items, I should be in good shape. Earthquake hits the majority of his team. The only thing it doesn't really hit is the Togekiss, the Gligar, and the Latios. Hits everything else relatively well. And Ice Shot just to revenge kill and just to pick things off. Hopefully I can pick off some weak targets this week. But yeah, pretty strong. Now let's move on to some of my bulk. Next up is going to be the King of Dopiness, of course, Slowking. Running AV again, max physical defense. This is basically a sponge. Hopefully this doesn't get toxic, but yeah. Scald, Psyshock, Ice Beam, Earthquake hits pretty much everything on his team. There's not really anything on his team that wants to take any of these. If I can get some Scald Burns, particularly on that Aggron, or if he brings things like the Linoon or the Passimian, things like that, would be pretty nice for me. Psyshock hits a lot of the team, especially that Nihiligo. Ice Beam hits things like the Shaman and the Latios, and Earthquake for the Infernape and mostly the Nihiligo. And also, of course, that Aggron. Pretty solid set. Regenerator, of course, allow me to regain 33% health every time I switch out. Could be useful for me. This is basically going to be my sponge pivot. Hopefully I can put it to good use this week. It did pretty well against Jason. I managed to use it effectively to sponge a few hits, so hopefully I can do the same here. Next up, making a delayed debut this week is going to be Literal Trash the Garbodor. Running a bit of an interesting set this week. Acid Spray spikes Toxic Pain Split. Acid Spray, if you don't know, it's a low base power move, but it drops the opponent's special defense by 2 stages. Which means if he's running anything like an Assault Vest set, I can definitely see a lot of specially bulky sets. Even AV Infernape is actually pretty solid. I've nearly brought that in a couple of my matches. But yeah, if I can stack up the spikes, the Aggron doesn't really want to switch in on anything. If I can get some Toxics off on anything that's not Aggron or Nihiligo, we're pretty good. Pain Split, of course, to be able to leech health off the opponent while recover yourself, and Black Sludge just to give me more health. Aftermath is there mostly in case I do get hit by a contact move, does 25% I believe, which is quite a lot, especially on a bulkier Pokemon like Aggron. If I can get that chip down and kill, and chip down with my Garbodor, we're in pretty good shape here. But yeah, pretty standard set other than the fact I'm not running Toxic Spikes or a stronger Poison Stab, but I didn't feel like I needed it because Acid Spray can really rack up on the Shaman. We're running fully Spadaf as well, which makes us even nicer because it means even things like Earth Power can't really touch Garbodor all that much. Does about 40% I believe, which I can heal back off relatively easily. And last but by no means least is going to be my main cleaner this week, of course, is going to be Blade Runner the Garbodor, my Mega Gallade. Mega Gallade's pretty standard Swords Dance set. Didn't really feel like I needed bulk up. He doesn't have the best physical offense outside of Infernape, so didn't really see the need for bulk up. But SD Zen Headbutt, knock off Drain Punch, knock off for the same reasons as I have in a Mamoswine, get rid of items. Drain Punch hits Aggron pretty hard even after a Swords Dance. Zen Headbutt hits things like the Infernape and the Nihiligo relatively hard, and hits a lot of things for neutral damage. This is ideally going to be my cleaner. This is how I want to win the game. It does depend on what he brings though. If he brings Togekiss, this won't be as good, but hopefully he doesn't. But yeah, that's going to be my main set of win conditions this week. This is going to be my team for this week. Please cheer for me because this match is going to be rough. But yeah, here's hoping it's going to be a fun match. But yeah, that's my team builder for this week. Again, apologise for no webcam. I will try and get that fixed as soon as possible. I'm not quite sure why it's not working. But yeah, I'm going to get on out of here. My name is Bombi Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.